guys, and welcome back to my channel. I want to thank you guys, first of all, so very much for all of your patience. As you guys probably noticed, we had to cut Vlogtober or holidays short. That was because my entire family came down with a bad case of strep throat and I was completely useless for days and days and days. So, but that's all in the past. That's in 2022. We are starting off the new year right with, of course, my dog playing around by my camera, and second of all, a brand new book haul. So these are all the books that I have received recently. Some of them are Christmas gifts, some of them are just stuff that I bought on my own. Why is my camera about to die when I literally just charged it? I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I'm going to start off the book haul with basically a book that I've already read but didn't own. So this is my favorite book of last year, and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And if you watched my video where I talked about all of my favorite books last year, this was the #1. And I didn't physically own it. So I had listened to it on a library copy. Like, I listened to it on an audiobook. I said that really weird. Library copy. I listened to it on an audiobook that I borrowed from my library, but this being my favorite book of last year, I really wanted my own copy of it. So I went ahead and ordered myself a copy of it, a hardback copy, because it's special to me. This is a really good book. This is a book that like changed my life in a way, and I really wanted to have it physically. So that is what I picked up. If you have never heard of this book, it is basically about a woman that makes a deal with the devil to live as long as she wants. So she can be immortal if she wants to, or she can live 300 years or 400 years or however long she wants. When she is ready to go, she just has to say she's ready to go, and the devil will come and collect her soul. But of course, as you can imagine, making a deal with the devil is not always fair. He doesn't play fair, and he lets her live as long as she wants, but there's kind of a hidden hiccup. And that is that anytime she ever leaves the room, anyone that sees her won't remember her anymore. So she can meet somebody, she can be getting along fine, maybe they're having coffee together, whatever. If they get up to go to the bathroom, they come back out, they don't remember her at all anymore. So we're following her, and she's about 300 years old now, and she still looks like she's, you know, in her late 20s, early 30s, and she ends up meeting somebody who remembers her. So in trying to figure out what's going on, we learn a lot of lessons. The thing that I best took from this is to make sure that you're living every day to its fullest. And yeah, I just really, really love this book, so I definitely wanted a copy of my own. Okay, so the next few books that we're going to talk about are also by V.E. Schwab, or Victoria Schwab. She writes under two different umbrellas. So when she's writing adult fiction, she writes under V.E. Schwab. When she's writing like teen fiction, I am saying things so strangely today. I haven't filmed in a while, so I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. When she writes a young adult fiction, then she goes by Victoria Schwab. So since I loved The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue so much, I definitely wanted to pick up a few more books by her. This was the only thing I've ever read by her. And I wanted to pick up some other stuff, because if I love that one that much, chances are I'm going to like more of her writing. So I picked up, and I'm already halfway through, Gallant by V.E. Schwab. And this one basically follows a girl who is mute. She cannot speak. She's not deaf, but she cannot speak. And she is growing up at a home for girls, basically orphan girls. And she has this diary that was dropped off with her at this orphanage from her mother. I think she was dropped off there when she was about 2 years old. And this diary she reads over every single day. She hates where she's living. It's just not, I mean, it's not horrible, but it's definitely not a place that you want to live. And she's kind of ostracized by the other girls because she can't speak, etc. And she has this diary of her mother's that she reads over all the time. And in it is kind of almost, she follows the descent into madness up until she leaves her daughter on this step. But as the writings get like more dark and kind of twisted, she warns her daughter about going back to Gallant, and her daughter has no idea what Gallant even is, until one day the people that run the orphanage call her into the office and let her know that they've received a letter basically saying that they are her mother's brother and that she does have a family out there, and they've been searching for her for years. And they want her to come and live with them. So she's immediately shipped off to this house, which is called Gallant. It's the Gallant estate. And once she gets there, she starts to realize that there's some really strange things about this home. It is a huge mansion. It's like starting to become run down. She has a cousin there, and she realizes that even though she got this letter, no one that lives in the house actually sent this letter, and no one actually even knew about her. So it's almost as if the house itself sent her this letter and was trying to like lure her back there. For what reason, we don't know yet. So I'm about halfway through it. So far, I'm absolutely loving it. If I had to stop and rate it right now, it'd be a 5 out of 5. I'm really enjoying it. So that is one of the books I picked up by Victoria, or VE. The next VE Schwab book that I got is The Near Witch. And this one says, these are the truths. Oh, The Near Witch is an old story told to frighten children. If the wind calls at night, you must not listen. If the wind is lonely and always looking for company, there are no strangers in the town of Near. These are the truths that Lexi has heard all her life. But when an actual stranger, a boy who seems to fade like smoke, appears outside her home on the moor at night, she knows that at least one of these sayings is no longer true. The next night, the children of Near start disappearing from their beds, and the mysterious boy falls under suspicion. As the hunt for the children intensifies, so does Lexi's need to know about the witch that just might be more than a bedtime story, and about the history of this nameless boy. So this one sounds really interesting. You guys know that I love a witchy read. And then the next one, now we're going to switch over into the Victoria Schwab book, so into the young adult, which I don't really understand, because from my understanding, young adult books, the protagonists are young adults, they're teenagers, and adult books, they're adults. Yet she's writing, like, some of these books, this one in particular, this one that I'm reading, Gallant, is about a young adult, and it's underneath her adult name, so I don't know. I'm confused a little bit about that, but I did read this one already, and this one is City of Ghosts, and this is the first in a 3-part series. And basically it is about a girl who can see ghosts. So she has a near-death experience, and from that she ends up being able to see ghosts, and she has a best friend that's a ghost that kind of follows her around, and she's kind of, once again, she's kind of ostracized by her, you know, class and whatnot. Her parents are paranormal authors, and they end up getting a show that they all end up going to work on. So they end up going around traveling to visit different haunted locations within the world, and she takes her ghost friend with her, and during all this she ends up meeting another person who can see ghosts like she does, and she kind of becomes, this other person kind of becomes a mentor to her, and there's a reason why she's supposed to be seeing these ghosts, and etc, etc. I really enjoyed this one. I gave this one, I think I gave it a 4 out of 5, or maybe a 5 out of 5. It was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely going to pick up the sequels to it. And then the last book that I picked up from her, from Victoria Schwab, this is a 2-in-1 book. It says 2 novels with a bonus short story inside. It's called The Dark Vault. So I think in here, so book 1 is The Archived, and book 2 is The Unbound. And this one is about librarians, sort of. Each body has a story to tell, a life seen in pictures only librarians can read. The dead are called histories, and the vast realm in which they read is the archive. Mackenzie Bishop's grandfather first brought her here 4 years ago when she was 12 years old, frightened but determined to prove herself. Now her grandfather is dead, and Mac has grown into what he once was, a ruthless keeper, tasked with stopping often violent histories from waking up and getting out. Because of her job, she lies to the people she loves, and she knows fear for what it is, a useful tool for staying alive. Follow Mackenzie as she explores the boundary between living and dying, sleeping and waking through these 2 timeless novels, now bound together in this thrilling collection. So that one sounds interesting as well. Yeah, so I picked up a bunch of her because I'm sure that I'm really gonna like her. So the next book is a book that I have wanted for a while, and I'll be honest with you guys, I wanted it for the cover and I ended up getting it for Christmas, and that is Toil and Trouble. This is 15 Tales of Women and Witchcraft. Once again, you guys know how much I love a witchy read, especially, like, my favorite things about witchy reads are, you know, women coming together, and just, you know, the feminine bond, and I love that. So I love this cover. And this is just 15 different short stories, all featuring witchcraft, women, you know, magic. It's really pretty, really, really pretty. So I'm excited to get to this one. I've wanted this one for a while, And I couldn't find it anywhere for a long time, so it's just so pretty. I need it. I just need it. Like, imagine this, taking an Instagram photo with this, like in the fall. It's so pretty. Okay, next is the second book in a trilogy, and that is The Toll by Neil Shusterman. And this is in the Scythe trilogy. So I ended up picking up on Book Outlet a while ago. I picked up the first and the third book, but they didn't have the second one. So I got this one for Christmas. And so basically, the Scythe trilogy is about people who are scythes. So this is in the future where there is a world without disease or famine or death of any kind, and people for population control need to be killed. So there are special people who are appointed to become scythes, and they are tasked with choosing how people are going to die, who's going to die, etc. So I've heard really good things about this series, or about this trilogy, so I'm excited to start it. But now I finally have all 3 books, so I can go ahead and start them anytime. So the next book was actually sent to me by the author, so I just want to say thank you so much to J.K. Ellum for sending me Mill Point Road. I get a lot of people wanting to send me books. I'm totally okay with that. If it's something that I am interested in, I will let you know. But I do only accept physical copies because I only read physical copies or audiobooks. So if you have an audiobook, I'll listen to that, or I'll read a physical copy, but I do not accept like e-reads. But this one sounds really, really good to me. It sounds like it's right up my alley. I'm going to read you the synopsis of it. It says, 5 women, 5 dark and sinister secrets, 1 killer who knows them all. When Rebecca Cartwright, young and recently widowed, moves into the exclusive gated community of Mill Point Road in the town of Ravenwood, Maryland, she thought she had found her sanctuary. Among the beautiful homes, manicured lawns, and high walls, she soon discovers that the other women on Mill Point Road are hiding dark secrets. But no one knows Rebecca is hiding her own secret, and it's the darkest and most sinister of them all. Detective Marvin Richards, a 30-year veteran homicide cop from the tough streets of New York City, moved to a picturesque Ravenwood for peace and quiet. That was until a serial killer decided to dump their 4th victim near Mill Point Road. Then there's Haley Perez, a rookie police officer who graduated top of her class, the only female in her entire cohort. And that can be a little tricky, especially when her fellow officers are now all male too. Some say she's abrupt, a little abrasive, and downright rude. Richards enlists the help of Perez, and together they go on the hunt for the Eden Killer, a cunning, evasive serial killer whose victims are all young, male, and named Adam. The trail of clues leads them to Mill Point Road, where they discover something dark and sinister is lurking in the seemingly tranquil Garden of Eden. So this one does sound right up my alley. The only thing that I'm not sure of, because I typically don't really like detective stories, like some of them I'm okay with, but this one, it just sounds so good to me. Like the whole, and almost in the beginning of this synopsis sounds almost like Stepford Wives sort of situation, but there's like dark secrets hidden, and that sounds right up my alley. But yeah, I'm excited to get into this one, and I'll let you guys know what I think of it once I read it. And again, thank you to the author for sending me this. So next is a book called Perfect Liars, and this is also 2 books in one. So these are both about, I don't believe that they are, I believe they're like 2 separate books. I don't think that it's a duology. So the first book is called Such a Good Girl, and the synopsis for that one says, Riley Stone is just about perfect. Ask anyone. She also has a crush on her French teacher, Alex Belrose, and she suspects that he likes her too. So that's wonderful. When she finds herself caught up in a tantalizing game of cat and mouse with Alex, she's determined to win no matter the cost, because Riley Stone is just about perfect, and she will do anything to keep it that way. So in this one, I mean, obviously you have a sketchy teacher, like, should not be having relationships with their students, but also this student sounds kind of sketchy as well. The next book is called Secrets, Lies, and Scandals, and it says, nothing ruins summer vacation like a secret, especially when it involves a dead teacher. So maybe these are a duology, because stuff about teacher in both the books, I don't know. When 5 teens find themselves with a dead body and no answers, they decide to make a pact to tell no one. They don't have much time to figure out how to trust one another, and one member of the group may decide the best way to protect themselves is to make sure someone else is found guilty. Will these teens come out on top, or will the tangled webs of deception and intrigue pull them under? This one sounds really good too. But yeah, I don't know if it is. It's by Amanda K. Morgan. I'll have to look that up on Goodreads and see if they are actually like just completely separate novels or not, because it kind of sounds like it go either way. So the next book is called Harrow Lake by Kat Ellis. And so this one basically is about a girl whose father is a horror movie, I don't know if he's a producer, a filmmaker. It says he's a filmmaker. And he ends up being brutally attacked in their New York apartment, which prompts him to send her to go and live with his grandmother in this creepy little town, I think, where his first successful movie was shot, called Harrow Lake. So she gets there, and the people that live in this town are absolutely obsessed with this movie that her father made. But there's like something weird going on in the town, and there's some unexplained disappearances that are going on. The town seems to have secrets, but Lola, who's the main character, she also has secrets of her own. So secrets, creepy towns, murder, that's all up my alley. So the next to last book that we're going to talk about is called Some Kind of Animal, and it's by Maria Ramasco Moore. This one sounds really, really interesting. This one is about a girl who has a secret twin sister, and from the sounds of it, it sounds like it's all maybe in her mind or some sort of like ghostly thing. I'm not sure exactly, but it says Joe's mother disappeared 15 years ago. Everyone knows what happened to her. She was wild, and bad things happen to girls like that. People are starting to talk about Joe. She's turning out just like her mom. And like her mom, Joe has a secret. It's not what people think though. Not a boy or a drug habit. Joe has a twin sister. The thing is, no one's ever seen Joe's twin sister. So when she attacks a boy from town, everyone assumes that it was Joe. Now everyone thinks Joe is a liar, that she's crazy, that she's dangerous. But Joe is telling the truth. And that's the last thing her sister wants. So I don't know, is this something that's like a mental illness? Is this real? How can she have a twin sister that no one has ever seen? I don't get that, but it's intriguing for sure. And the last book we're going to talk about is Minor Prophets by Jimmy Caljohes, and this one is about this boy that has visions. So it says, Lee has always had visions, cats that weren't really there, a ragged man peering into his bedroom window, violent storms wiping out everything in their path, and much more. His mother and his sister Murphy have done all they can to keep Lee grounded in the real world. But when his mother dies in a car accident, her terrible cop husband tries to adopt Lee and Murphy, and they have no choice but to flee to their grandmother. She lives on a property known as the farm, which Lee and Murphy have only heard about in stories. Though their grandmother is thrilled to have them arrive on her doorstep, something doesn't seem quite right on the farm. Is there a reason that their mother never brought them here? What isn't their grandmother telling them? And what glorious and terrible truths lurk behind these visions? Okay, you guys, so those are all of the books that I have picked up recently. Some of them, like I said, were Christmas gifts. Some of them I picked up on my own. All of them I'm very excited about. Let me know in the comments down below which one you think I should read first. I've already read one of them, one and a half of them. But it's like when you get new books, you just want to sit down and read them all at the same time. That's that's what I'm having going on right now, and I'm like having a hard time trying to decide which ones I should read. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below which ones you think I should listen to or read first, and let me know what you're reading this year. This is the beginning of a new year, new month, new everything. Let me know in the comments down below what you're reading. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.